Quetzalcoatl. We thank the angels of the lily for their assistance. We find that we may continue at this time. We ask all present to bear with this occult turbulence, for there are a great many beings who do not wish this information, this communication, to continue. The beings who are in positions of great power on this planet currently are the same beings. Souls who have been in positions of great power in your historical past and even prior. These souls reincarnate with great distortion towards power and control and enslavement of other beings. The practice of human sacrifice is their prime mechanism for this control. All teachings which unclear audio seek to undergo their corruption are pointed towards this end goal. This was not unique to our teachings. This has occurred in many prior instances on this planet when light has been sought and brought forth. The channel is tempted to corruption. The influx of bellicosity is utilized as the catalyst for conflict and division. The practice of the mass, human sacrifice, prevails to today in the practice of what you know as war. War is human sacrifice. War is the mechanism by which the elites maintain control and fear and enslavement of the other selves. It is this endless war which is imposed on those other selves. The communication at this time is quite rough. We find it most pertinent to continue the communication of this concept in whatever it may make it through at this time, but emphasize a great deal of accuracy is being lost. Thus, the communication is quite simple. We make our apologies for this lack of accuracy and eloquence in our words. This concept is of the utmost importance to relay, and thus we make sacrifice to the accuracy of the communication. The mechanism by which our teachings were corrupted followed a pattern of a playbook, to take the idea of the divine within all, and to twist it into the divine, which controls all. Those in power seek to present themselves as an alternative to the divinity, so that the focus of the seeker, the worship, knowingly or unknowingly, may be directed towards these so-called elites. This can be undone. This endless human sacrifice which calls all of the darkness and negative polarity to this world. This has been presented to the beings of this world as an inevitable occurrence that they must accept as a condition for life on this planet. And in these societies, this has been misrepresented. The humans of the third density on this earth are not inclined to bloodlust. It hurts deeply for the being to harm pause, speaks with difficulty the other self. It creates tears in the soul. The portrayal of the human being as one prone to violence towards the other is a false image that has been broadcast to enable the acceptance of such violence. This, my friends, is a false image of the self. The beings here do not wish to harm the other self, and are greatly manipulated and driven towards deep suffering to elicit this action on the scale, which you have witnessed for so many of your years. The so-called shell shock, the so-called PTSD from combat, is a tearing into the soul, for it is with great suffering and hatred that one harms so ruthlessly the other, that one is so manipulated into this action. This is not to say that the human nature is not prone to bellicosity, fueled by the symptoms of the veil. The viewing of the other self as other, the deep emotions of rage and fear in those one-on-one interactions. The depletion of resources, the fighting for so-called survival, this is separate from that which we speak. We speak to this machine of war itself, which is a mass practice of human sacrifice. We do not wish to impart upon you fear or sadness. We simply wish to bring to light that which has been festering for centuries in the darkness. For even the positive being upon this planet views the act of war as an inevitability of the human inclination. We seek to bring alternative perspective, a shining of light into this darkness. There is hope, my friends. That is our message, although we have dived into a darker realm. However, we remind that all paths pursued in creation are a necessary path the Creator takes to know itself. Our biases incline us towards the alleviation of such suffering on this planet. We seek to do this by simply bringing to light an alternative perspective to this situation, this being relevant to your current experience as you see these powers ramping up their war efforts. Why do they do this? At this time, many are awakening and opposing the war human sacrifice machine, and thus the grip of power must tighten to maintain its control. The beings who are in these positions of power do not know their actions in depth. They are unclear audio in this cycle, incarnation after incarnation, to pursue this seeking of power, destruction, dominance, and control on this planet. Each journey begins and ends in suffering. It is these beings who are in most need of love and light at this time. Love, light, healing, acceptance, knowing, seeing, healing. This is of the utmost importance in the easement of the suffering of these beings. There are some of these beings who have sought and successfully pursued the path of the negative polarity, and we are not advising that one seek to change the polarity of the other. However, we emphasize that many of these beings are in a state of suffering and have not pursued either polarity. They, to remain asleep in their pursuit of destruction. They often find themselves to be pawns of the negative polarity.